Hello, and welcome to this episode of Block Party, formerly Blockchain Bylines. I'm Nic Cary, co founder and executive chairman of blockchain.com. Today, I'm joined by Andrey Lazorenko, CEO of the ADI Foundation. In this episode, we're exploring how ADI is building a compliance ready blockchain infrastructure for governments, institutions, and the next billion users. Andrey, welcome to the show. So, you live in the UAE. Tell us a little bit about the position of the UAE as a global hub for digital innovation. I think over the last decade, it's really sort of established itself as a place where founders and entrepreneurs and foundations for digital financial products and platforms can sort of establish itself. How did it do that? And why did you end up in the UAE? There were many other options.
Uh, Recently, I moved to Abu Dhabi, and here, to articulate properly the landscape and how they got here, I think it's important to look in general how historically UAE grows as the region and as the country. So even like 30 years ago, 20 years ago, it was completely different place. But the way how they apply their strategy on making the country grow and attractive to everyone, that's, I think, applicable in every vertical. So even if we will take aside the high tech, in general, UAE are trying to create the best service environment for the people to come and live with regards to the regulators, logistics and travel openness. And in general, I think there are currently a lot of people that don't look as on the country as like geographical location space. They look on the country from the services point of view, meaning that what are the services there? How does the quality of governmental services and the convenience of it is applicable to the person or to the business? Taxes, like all those aspects. And UAE, I think, is nailing this, maybe one of the best, if not the best, to cater what the modern person needs right now from the life and work requirements and needs. And if we're speaking about the crypto in particular, so AGI is placed in the DGM in Abu Dhabi. That's their regulator that regulates the digital assets. And I used to work with regulator in Ukraine, in Switzerland, in Portugal, in the States, like in different locations and the zones. And I would say that work in I would say even work, like it's you collaborate with the partner that is represented by the regulator. Like they managed to create super innovative structure that really caters what the business needs in a very transparent, fast, and compliant form.
The UAE has been a great host and ambassador for Web3 in general. And I think what you described was really quite accurate, which is the environment that allows for collaboration between the regulators and the innovators, a country and a culture that is rapidly progressing in thinking about how to build scalable worldwide technology that's always on 24/7, 365, that's fit to purpose for the modern era. And so all of that makes sense. So talk to us a bit about ADI Chain and what is the problem that it's designed to solve, and give us a bit of an orientation.
Yeah, so AGI is the permissionless modular L2, which is created based on the zk-sync framework tech stack. We're using zk-sync Atlas, their latest stack. And the goal of ADI is to onboard like those heavy amount of users on chain. So we defined for us several narratives with the pillars that we are trying to focus to be different and to accomplish our goals. So first of all, we very much focus on modularity, meaning that we believe that every like significant shift in the use case, whether it's like large corporate clients, large user groups, or governments, they would need, let's say, own custom presets from the performance, compliance, like from different angles. And by saying that, we believe that modularity is the way to go to enable seamless modular chain structure in order to amplify this and bring this all together. Secondly, it's the user experience. So we're fully EVM compatible, meaning that we are trying to bring the value with the use cases and like projects that we onboard by trying to at least not to force to give the user the option to change the user experience pattern of behavior that they operate with, and to make the end user experience as smooth as possible, bringing Web3 technology advantages to amplify the value that we give.
Very cool. So I want to define a few terms to help our audience better understand things, especially if they never heard about these things before. So we'll get back to the modularity, the EVM compatibility, and a permissioned versus permissionless chain. But you had mentioned that you guys had built ADI on ZK Sync, and you described it as a layer two. Let's define those terms so that a first time listener has some comfort and confidence hearing it from the builder themselves. So yeah, help us understand that.
Right. So historically, there are different layer one chains, which are most of them are like very different from each other, and they require separate wallets from the users. They do have separate infrastructure. So for them, they maintain their sovereignty, but they are having hard times, and that we've seen many times. I would say vast majority with the onboarding of new users, because users have to get used to the new infrastructure, wallets, etc., etc. So the biggest currently layer one on the market is the Ethereum, and that's the blockchain where I would say maybe 80% or like large volumes are concentrated with regards to the meaningful products, infrastructure, and things around it. So Ethereum has different layer twos that use Ethereum as a settlement. So it's like chain of chains. And then on those layer twos, the transactions can be much faster. The cost can be much cheaper. There can be different compliance layers. So instead of launching separate L1, we decided to go through much more user-friendly way. Again, with regards to the strategy of UAE as a country, how they made up to the place where they are now. And like more and more people around are saying that the most innovations in the next decade will happen in this region. That's part of the strategy. So we saw what works on the country scale and applied it on the blockchain level. So we're building the layer on top of Ethereum. By using ZK Sync framework, we're using what's proven and battle tested on the market as the tech stack framework, and the guys build great tech. And we apply them on UAE sovereign rails because we are putting our chain from the infra layer on a sovereign cloud in UAE. So everything is kept on UAE sovereign cloud to be sure that the data is sovereign and all the infrastructure for the blockchain is sovereign. But still, we're using as the settlement layer Ethereum chain in order to give even more credibility and the transparency to integrate to the market to reach this supreme level of, on the one hand, the avoid the requirement for the users to change their UX pattern behavior, and on the other hand, retain full sovereignty and security of the chain.
You described ADI chain as being compliance ready and built for real world financial infrastructure. Can you explain what you have envisioned there and why being compliance ready is so important for onboarding the types of counterparties and building infrastructure for the clients that you see to onboard?
Great question. So ADI is founded by a serious international holding. It's the digital arm of IHC, the largest holding group of UAE. And a large chunk of our roadmap is to using our partnership networks to land the B2B or G2G contracts on ADI chain that amplify the value. whether it's cross-border payments or identity or tokenization forms. There are different use cases. The first comes even before the value, the compliance assessment of the viability of, can it bring the value in the form that we define that it can, but also remain compliant and clear for the governments and institutions and partners. We've seen different cases when such counterparties operate on like fully permissionless chains. We've seen even more cases when they adopt permission chains like private blockchains. But private blockchains, they're lacking the, like you're still geofencing the liquidity, you're still geofencing the interoperability of the assets, and so on and so forth. So eventually the way forward and where the whole like global economy is moving to have more unified liquidity among all the markets. We're seeing this tokenized stocks. That's why real world assets companies are currently putting on chain, like all those, grows very fast. And in order to do this, you have to be like compliant and clear for the corporates that are producing those use cases. And on the other hand, being able to interrupt that isolated liquidity that currently will be able to go between different markets in order to have this unified liquidity layer. To be compliance first and compliance ready means, from our point of view, that we have all the needed like IML tools integrated in the core of the chain, as well as this modularity brought to extreme level where we can create like layer 3s on top of our layer 2, which can be permissionless. They can be permissioned, but still remain where it's needed to be interoperable with the liquidity-wise or assets-wise with the master chain, which is permissionless. They can be semi-permissioned or semi-permissionless with certain off-chain data or on-chain data, especially when we're speaking about this different sensitive data tokenization use cases from the medical tech, from the finance tech, from the identity tech, where by law in different regions, certain data has to be brought off-chain and stored separately. Like all those cases, so I would say modularity and IML tooling is what we define as compliance ready and compliance fit.
Yeah, so I mean, it's funny. A lot of L2s always talk about wanting to have advantages in transaction speed or low fees, and you guys really took a different approach, which was building for compliance, regulatory alignment, and government deployment. And basically, it seems kind of interesting in the product market fit in some ways is this emerging market governments and institutions that need sort of this hybrid model, like advantages of things being on chain, but then permissioned sort of feature sets that allow for this modularity of building key pieces of infrastructure like market tokenization, identity instruments, stable coins, and more. And so, you guys are having a really exciting first year. And I was doing some research before, and I noticed you guys just announced a partnership with BlackRock, MasterCard, and Franklin Templeton. And so I wanted to give you an opportunity to sort of celebrate and highlight these types of partnerships, because this is a big new era in the digital currency crypto landscape where the big institutions now have, reliable partners that they can go pilot new products and experiences on, that borrow public infrastructure like the Ethereum network, but also enable these financial use cases that otherwise weren't possible. So tell us a little bit about that exciting announcement.
So these three partnerships are the first batch out of many that are currently in the progress in our roadmap, in order to unify all those fragmented markets and bring them on chain. From my point of view, MasterCard, and historically MasterCard operate in Web3 tokenization space for a few years already. They do have the MTN, MasterCard token network, but it was built on the permissioned chain, meaning that you can tokenize things, but then you have a challenge to identify the meaningful use case in order to amplify the value. For this, you need interoperability features that are compliant, so on and so forth. So With MasterCard, we will be building, utilizing their MTN network, which is, again, a great technology by itself. But we'll be amplifying it with ADI layer 3s that will be super custom for our clients and for MasterCard's clients. In this way, we'll make like win-win scenario for both organizations. When I'm speaking about the BlackRock, so some of the use cases are finding the great value in the sovereignty of the ADI chain itself. So the fact that we are in UAE sovereign cloud, we've built architecture where we have sequencer and prover stored on the sovereign cloud, and we take care about the sovereignty of the data and the chain itself. And again, IHC do have like 1,500 companies in their holding group, and we can be for some of the again use cases that bring value, whether it's payments, identity assets, and propagate it with the distribution to find more usage and distribute their products through us to the end users.
Let's switch a little bit and talk a bit about, how to build in this world. So, how does ADI empower developers? What are the programs that you have now that, if anyone's listening that works for a regulatory agency or a government, how can they interact with your foundation, with ADI in general? And what are some of the real world applications that you're excited to be developing?
Yeah, that's a really great question. So when we were designing the ADI, that the development relations and dev communities was one of the aspects why we chose specifically this stack. So Solidity is the most popular programming language for the blockchain communities and developers, and we have really great support from Ethereum Foundation. We collaborate with them a lot as well. And regarding our DevRel like vehicles, I would say, and verticals that we're targeting. So we just launched like literally a week ago our mainnet during the Abu Dhabi Finance Week. And currently we'll be rolling products. So first, I would say significant product that we're expecting to host on ADI will be the dirham-backed stablecoin issued by First Abu Dhabi Bank and the HC. It's a joint venture between them. And it will be issued directly and exclusively on ADI chain, fully permissionless, with ability to do the self-custody, the stablecoin similar to Circle's USDC.
It sounds like a lot has been done in the last 12 months. Give us a little bit of a forecast into 2026. What are some key milestones that you're sort of tracking internally? And then, what does a really successful year look like for you?
So I would say that our roadmap looks very solid, and we're moving gradually to achieve our goals. And the focuses that we have is the develop and grow significantly the financial vertical for the payment rails with the CFI and DeFi aspects of ADI, targeting especially like global South region with B2C, B2B, and B2G different use cases. So very much looking forward to have like solid step into this playground. Then we do have the vertical with the tokenized assets. We're collaborating with the group company, it's called FinStreet. They're fully licensed to issue the tokenized securities and tokenized real world assets. So I think that the will be increasing, like once they launch, it will happen very soon, amount of products and use cases that they will be doing as the issuer, and we will be distributing them globally, and then the builders can build new financial and tokenized products out of them, using them as the base layer. And then the third pillar is the digital identity. So we are investing a lot in the digital identity piece, and that's where maybe end of Q1 we're planning to roll out our solutions there. But the intersection of financial rail, right, digital identity product, and tokenized real-world assets. I think that this combination of all three, that's the near future tooling of the modern global person that lives globally, operates globally, and does on-chain activity.
I like that. The modern on-chain person. So financial rails, digital identity, and tokenized real-world assets. And I think that last bit is such a huge, wide open market. People don't realize how much equity there is in the world that just doesn't have a way to find a price. And so, we're eagerly watching the developments in that space. Andrey, thank you so much for joining us today. And to all of our viewers watching, ADI is now available in your blockchain.com account. So please remember to subscribe to Block Party and leave a review if you enjoyed today's episode. And until next time, I'm Nic Cary, and on behalf of the entire blockchain.com team, thank you for tuning in.